Hi, my name is Sam Johnson and I'm a voice teacher. Today I'm going to be reacting to and analyzing a video of people playing this game where they have to guess which person belongs to which singing voice with their eyes blindfolded. And so I won't have my eyes blindfolded, but I want to see what this is about. I'm very curious.
Can we have our first person step forward?
Yeah, let me hear something sweet and sultry real quick.
Sing to me.
L is for the way you look at me. O is for the only one I see.
That first singer, her voice is so breathy. She is letting through so much air. You will run out of breath all the time when you're singing a song if you're using a tone like that. It is a sound that's associated with being like sultry and jazzy, but I think that if you're using that as your default sound and you're not just using it as sort of a peppering of style on top of everything, it is very difficult to sing like that in the long run. If we don't have a stronger phonation where there's more vocal cord closure and less just massive amounts of air gushing through the vocal cords, having that much air rushing past the vocal cords can be super drying for all of the mucosal membrane on top of it. It makes it difficult to get louder. It's just hard. Like, you're getting a very specific style, but you're sacrificing so many other things technically in order to get that style, where if we just started from a place that was a little bit more balanced and let that be more of a periphery sound, it's much more sustainable. Same thing, just so much breath.
Come along.
I kind of want to hear her do Old Town Road. She's got maybe like a bit of a, right?
I'ma ride my horse, take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more.
She's not articulating her words very cleanly. It sounds like everything is really blended together, which for pop styles, for contemporary music, pop music, is kind of desired by a lot of people. Like, if you listen to Ariana Grande, she does a ton of that where she just kind of blends between these words. If we had a stronger fundamental buzz, a stronger phonation underneath everything that she was doing with her mouth, I think you would still be able to understand her a little bit, but it is a very lazy way of singing where we're not using very much movement, we're not trying to make clean articulations between words, and it's all to achieve this style. Like, everything that I'm hearing in her voice right now is meant to achieve style rather than technical proficiency. She is able to get through all of these different songs, but they all sound the exact same, and that's just because she's not adjusting what she's doing with her technique based on what song she's doing. She's doing the exact same things on every song, which, like, it gives you an element of consistency in your voice, which I think people value, but I'm not convinced that singing like this, which it's obviously her default since she has sang so many songs that require different colors and different volumes and everything, but she's doing it the same way. So to me, this is a perfect example of how using one style and asking for style first can be very limiting to someone's growth as a singer, because then they don't start mixing in all these other colors, and the end result, I think, can become a little bit one-dimensional.
Somebody who likes to smoke weed.
Okay, so if you're smoking, weed burns at a much higher temperature than cigarette smoke if you're just smoking the actual flower. And so when you're inhaling something that is that hot, it can be very drying to your vocal cords. If you did just smoke a lot and then you didn't do anything else to counter that sound, it is kind of indicative of some vocal damage, which is what I think she's hearing. I wouldn't say that that's what this lady is doing, the one who is singing. I don't think that it is a result of vocal damage. I think it's just this style choice that she is going full force toward. It makes sense that you might hear a little bit of damage as a result of smoking in the same way, but I doubt that that is why.
People that smoke will get this kind of rasp. The head voice will disappear, which is the high end. If you can get into this voice, can you do this?
You can get into this voice.
Just say, oh no! Oh no!
Oh no!
They definitely smoke weed.
She has no. I think that her voice is just wrecked from getting so much air through. Maybe they smoke. That to me does not sound like the result of just one outside influence of like smoking weed, cigarettes, anything. To me, it's entirely an issue of technique, honestly. And so if we were trying to find that place where she was going up into her head voice, I would first start by finding a really round vowel and see if she can get clarity like that. Like instead of, oh no, using this kind of wider sound, which is also very forward. And as soon as she went into that place, it just fell back. Maybe start with a which has a little bit more clarity. Then see if you can start adjusting that vowel to get different vowels. But yeah, that's not weed. That's not a issue of smoke.
You rise and surrender to your darkest dreams. Purge your thoughts of the life you knew me for.
That was Phantom of the Opera.
Nice vibrato.
No?
You got what I need.
You say I'm just a friend.
Oh, baby, you.
In the Phantom of the Opera piece, I liked that he didn't make it too heavy. He was really just letting it kind of be his own voice. He had some vowels that were a little bit weird and I think would prevent him from being able to bridge that up really well super high. But then when he went over to the Biz Markie song, Say I'm Just a Friend, that song sounded so forward and so easy. He kind of sang the Phantom song in the same way that he was singing Biz Markie. It's just he let it be a little bit rounder, a little bit more of this open sound where the Biz was just like straight out forward. And then it was interesting hearing his voice next to the first man who was blindfolded, because the blindfolded guy, when he sang along with it, it immediately went to this super, super breathy sound. And just contrasting those two voices, you can hear that the singer has much better chord closure. It's just a much more balanced technique. You don't hear that extra breathiness. It just sounds clean and clear. I don't think it sounded as heavy as I would expect from the Phantom if he was actually performing as the Phantom, but that song also has a lot of really gentle parts, and I think that his voice works well with that. We really just would need to start fixing a few little vowels to make sure it's as perfect as possible.
Who you think you're kidding? He's the earth and heaven to you, trying to keep it hidden. Honey, we can see right through it.
You're really nervous, aren't you?
A bit.
You can hear it in the back when the
That all
voice
sounded like
begins to
nerves.
waver like that. It's usually like, oh my god, I'm terrified.
But again, it's the nerves would be calmed if she had better technique. A lot of times with untrained women, the result when you get nervous is even more air getting through, less chord closure, and less control, because it's just flooding these small little muscles with so much air, they don't know what to do with it, and it becomes a little bit variable. Usually when someone gets a little bit more nervous, if that's what their voice tends to sound like already, it'll get even more so. And so we don't have the stability that comes with having some healthy, moderate amounts of chord closure. We don't have that stability, and it just is amplified by the fact that she's nervous.
Definitely trained. Yeah, because you're singing in a different language. Probably has a degree.
This woman obviously sounds like she's had training. Most people don't start singing arias if they don't have a little bit of training. And the way that she did it was unified enough that shows that there's been some thought in it. There were still a few vowels that were a little bit funky, and that's where you heard a slight change in the tone, the overall tone of the piece when she got to those vowels. And so we would really just try to make her voice sound the same, regardless of what vowel she's singing, regardless of what note she's singing that on, regardless of what volume it is. And it really is just a few little changes with that.
Take your blindfold off. It's going to be bright. Turn and look.
They don't look anything like anything I've described. Were you the one that sang At Last? No. Was you? No? Was it you? Wow. Do you smoke a lot of weed?
I have always sounded this way since I was like a kid.
Really?
So if she has always sounded like that since she was a kid, and just by listening to the way she speaks, there is probably some physical something going along there. People don't sound like that if they are not abnormal physically in their larynx. I would really encourage this lady to go get scoped and just see if there is anything physical that we can start mitigating so that she can start getting different colors to her voice, because right now it is just this one-dimensional sound. And although that is kind of a very desirable sound in pop music right now, I don't think it's sustainable for a whole career if we're only using that sound. And so in terms of vocal rehab and vocal technique training, the goal would be to just start getting a little closer to normal and then use that sound just to pepper it in. Every time that she sings right now, she's repeating the pattern that probably encouraged the vocal damage to begin with. And not everyone needs to sound like completely the same, and I'm not even saying that at all. I'm more worried that if this was someone who wanted to sing professionally, that they wouldn't be able to have those opportunities because the technique and the instrument just aren't sustainable at this point. And the difficulty that she had getting into head voice is kind of another indicator of like, yeah, there is some insane swelling going on, or maybe a nodule or something else. All of that damage, all of those changes exist because of something. They don't come from no reason. And so we really need to just figure out what that something is, and using a stroboscope is a very good way to start deducing what it could be, while at the same time doing vocal therapy stuff to try to get a little bit more chord deduction. Well, actually a lot more chord deduction. There's just a lot going on in her voice that's kind of interesting.
Most of the time I'm a bartender and people are like, are you sick? Like, nope.
That's probably why. If she's a bartender, she's screaming all the time, she doesn't have time for her chords to settle down. That leads into it a little bit more of just vocal overuse being the main reason that she sounds this way.
Then we had the nervous, younger, early 20s.
Was this you? Yeah. What did I get right? What did I get wrong?
I've been to like one show in theater and then I did choir for like half a year.
Are you trained?
I went to school AMDA, but only for like 2 months.
Yeah.
Oh, so you don't have a degree?
Nope.
Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below about what you think you can deduce about someone based on just the sound of their voice. Thank you.